This is Dale Jr., and you're listening to Dirty Mo Radio.
I called him back, and I'm like, okay, you know how bad I want this. You know. I was like, I've been looking for a ride for like a year. You know, it was kind of like, if we're going to have kids, this would probably be the right time to do it. So I'm pregnant. He's like, dead silence. Well, damn. It's the first time I've ever heard that excuse from a driver.
Welcome to Fast Lane Family with Kelley Earnhardt Miller.
Welcome to Fast Lane Family. I am so excited about today's show. One of my idols in racing, Miss Shauna Robinson, is with me today. And I have a funny story about that, which I have such a bad memory in telling stories. Just please forgive me. But I can remember back at Myrtle Beach Speedway when I was racing late models and you were racing in the Busch Series at that time and wanting your autograph so bad. And I got Jeff to bring me up there to meet you. And what was it, after that I faxed you for your autograph, or before that I faxed you for your autograph?
I think it was after that. Well, you faxed me when I got the pole.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Congratulations.
Yes.
So after.
Yeah.
That would have been after.
After.
Yeah. After I met you. Yeah.
Which was so cool because I've always looked up to you too, and just your dad,
right,
and knowing,
right.
and just like that I can say that I actually raced with your dad
right.
is so cool.
Yeah.
And he always used to come up and be like, "You have the skinniest knees, just the little bony knees." It's like,
if
Teresa,
he wasn't
like,
gouging you, then he didn't like you, right?
Right, exactly. You always figured if you had something to say or something to that was like bothering you about, then you were good.
Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about, your start in racing. I know that you raced the big rigs in the Great American Truck Series.
Yeah.
And you did that, kind of followed your dad's footsteps from that standpoint.
I did. My dad was very unusual. He was very, but I mean, thank God, because I think a lot of the way I turned out was because of my father, and he was very much not the you're going to go to college and do this. He didn't play by the rules at all, and he was very much like, you have to get out and live life and learn to be street smart and learn how to negotiate and learn. So he was a racer and a promoter all growing up, and right about when I graduated high school, he started promoting these truck races because he always tried to come up with something that was going to draw a different gender in or a totally different crowd along with motorsports. So the trucking industry was very big in the Midwest and, all everywhere.
Yeah.
So he started that, and it was really just off-the-street trucks, but no trailers, of course. And we would run on...
I thought that when I first,
I know.
like, back then, I thought, wow, if it's like racing
Did they really do
trailers.
this? Yeah, it was definitely different. But I grew up every Saturday night we're at a racetrack. We had little mini bikes or motorcycles, or just, you didn't know any different. My sisters didn't either, and it was just what we did. So I was very easily adjusted to stuff like that. And so when we went to a racetrack, it was actually Toledo, Ohio, and 2 days after I graduated high school. And I went to go help him with like the marketing part of it, and they were unloading some of the trucks in the parking lot and then taking them out. So I was backing one off the trailer, and I just whipped on into the track and just started doing hot laps. And so of course he yelled at me, pulled me out of the truck. "You can't be doing that. You don't even have a helmet on," and all this. And I'm just like, and he's like, he knew what he was doing because he saw me and he saw like the throttle. And he's like, "Oh, if you went out there with other trucks, it'd scare you. You wouldn't be able to do it." Well, he knew what he was doing there too, because you don't dare me to do something. So that's what happened. Is I raced that night in a heat race and then a feature.
And you raced that night?
I raced that
wow.
night. Didn't have a suit, but I had like a helmet and tennis shoes. And so, of course, him being a promoter, I was 18. It was like the girl racer. But what he did is and I had fun, and that's all I was doing. It was like my summer. I just graduated summer to kind of figure out what I wanted to do. And so the next weekend we went to another track, and the next weekend another. Well, then he really, he had me doing the advertising for the races. So he would put a budget together. I would have to contact the 3 television stations, 3 radio stations, and newspapers in the cities that we were in. And I'd have to go knock on their doors and buy advertising time. And then I would say, "Oh, by the way, can I see your sports producer, sports director?" So I'd go into that, and I'd say, "Well, I drive." So it was like he totally taught me how to sell myself and how to knock on doors. And then the racing was just, it was fun. But after a year, it was like, I really want to do this. So we moved into a level that was called the Gator Series, which kind of fell off of Smokey and the Bandit. Mm-hmm. And it was more modified racing trucks. And the thing about the trucks is, honestly, if I did it again, I wouldn't do it any different, because they weighed 10,000 pounds. They weighed 6 to 8 once they got a little modified. But they went 180 miles an hour on a big track.
That's incredible.
So, and you would, one weekend you'd run dirt, the next weekend you'd run asphalt, the next weekend you'd run a speedway, and then, there was nothing I could have gotten that kind of experience from.
No,
so
that's incredible. And you were pretty successful in that.
I was pretty good.
There. You were the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, Rookie of the Year, finished third in points, never won the points deal, and it was also learning to deal with the drivers. There was a different world of drivers there. They were more like truckers off the
big
road.
Men driving big trucks.
Yes, yeah. It's kind of scary. There was all different kinds. But, and you know, a lot of them didn't like me, and then there was the ones that did and that looked at me as a racer. But I really had to earn respect. So it really helped pave the way for going to the next direction, which was always stock cars. I never, ever really thought about well, I did think about sprint cars, but my mother, which was crazy, she was adamantly like, absolutely no way you're not driving a sprint car, because she grew up with A.J. Foyt and Parnelli, no wings, and she grew up in the days of, she's like, you are not getting in a sprint car. Well, I actually did get in a sprint car, but we didn't tell her. But
I'm afraid that's going to happen with Carson and me.
Yeah,
because I'm kind of, she's in the outlaw carts now, and I'm kind of like, no sprint carts, but that surprise and the doing it behind my back could happen between her and her dad, so that makes me a little nervous.
Well, and there's something about when you tell your daughter or somebody who has a very hard head that they can't do something, it's almost like becomes a mission that they do it.
Some advice I got the other day, to raise your teenager, and you have
two
older teens now yourself, and was to just agree with them. Like, don't say what they're not supposed to do, or don't tell them that they can't do it. Just go along with it, and then you kind of sometimes bring them around to
bring them around and see what kind of decision they make, which is really hard to do.
Yeah,
because you want to tell them absolutely what you think,
based
but
off what your experience
they're never going to agree.
Exactly.
So it does make sense.
And so from there, you went into the Goodies Dash series.
Yes, I went to the Dash series.
Really successful there.
That was great, because I had no idea what I was going to be going from the big heavy trucks, and so they didn't put really pressure on me. The first race was Daytona. I went and tested, and they're all like, if you don't feel comfortable, or you need, we got a backup driver here, don't feel like, and I went, Daytona was the biggest excitement of it. It was like, wow, I'm going to actually run at Daytona. But these were 4-cylinder cars, so it was like, you're like all the way around. You're like, seriously, is this all it does? But what I didn't know and what I had to learn was things like drafting and how to race and in the draft and things like that. So, yeah, I had a great 3 years with the Dash cars, and then made the move to Busch. But I learned a lot there and had a consistent team in the Dash series. And I think that anytime I felt like I had success, that was definitely part of it. It was a team factor too.
Yeah. So what transitioned you into the Busch series from the Dash series? Like, how did you make that decision?
Impatience is how I made that decision. And if I had it to over again, I would have stayed in the Dash cars and just focused on winning. And it's like you have opportunities, so you don't know if you're doing the right thing or not. You just want to move up. And I wanted to move in the Busch series, and I think from that time it was always limited schedules. And I think that any racer, I don't care if you're male or female, if you're not running consistently and you're not running the same amount, you lose so much from one race to the next that everybody else is gaining. So, and at that time as a female, it was a lot of pressure on performing, even though they didn't really look at it like, well, you've only ran 3 races and everybody else is on their 15th. And but that was what I had to do. And I always looked at it like, whatever opportunity, I have to make the best of it, even if it's not the best equipment. If I can drive crappy equipment, then imagine what I can do in good equipment.
Right.
So it was always kind of just fighting for that aspect to get to the next better situation. But you got to go through some bad ones to get to the good ones.
Yeah, and you definitely had your share of that. From different situations and scenarios. And I mean, I think in all honesty, you never really got that true consistent opportunity.
I don't, and I agree with that. I think there were some good moments, but I think that really when I got to the point in like 2005 when I just said, this isn't, I want to be competitive. I don't want to be a start and park, and I don't want to be a right around the back just to be there. I wanted more out of it, and my kids were getting older, and I was just like, if I can't do it the right way, then I don't want to keep doing this. I'm not doing it for the image of it. I'm doing it to win.
Right.
But I think that in 2005, 2006, that's really when things started to turn around a little bit. So I always wonder what if, but I can't really do that because I got to do so much.
From driving late models. And people say, would you get back into that? And what stopped you? And the factors were just, different then, and they were different for you. You had success, first woman to win a pole in the Goody Series, first woman to win a pole in the Busch Series, first woman to finish a cup race. Lots of great firsts for you. And I was looking too. You were the 13th woman in a NASCAR series. I mean, 13 women. Wow. And
see, I didn't even know that statistic. That's cool to know.
So now there's Danica and Joanna Long, and so there's maybe they're up to 16 or 17.
I know, but still, isn't that amazing?
But it's amazing to have 13 women in a sport where, there was hundreds of men that have come through at that point, all the way when you go back to when NASCAR started. How do you use your success then and even your, good and bad now in your capacity to maybe mentor females and people in the sport that are going through that now?
Really, I haven't. I would love to do that, to mentor more. I mean, I have done a little things just more on whether email or just phone conversations to help out girls that are starting up with the Women in the Winner's Circle. Yeah. I met a lot of young girls. I did that with Lynn the first time she did it in Indianapolis. And I believe that was the first time I met Danica, who was running, I think she'd just come back from running in Europe, and she was just becoming, and Aaron Crocker was running, and there was a lot of girls I knew, but then a lot I didn't, and a lot that had a lot of questions. And if there was something I could go back to that I wish I had was, my dad was always there for me, and but father-daughter, you have like you have your little arguments, and whatever he says, I'm going to disagree, so we had that, but he was definitely my strength. But I never really had that one to kind of keep me in check. Like emotionally, a woman will get judged a little bit differently on how she may handle a situation when I knew something wasn't the way that it should be, or I knew something was going on and I approached that. I probably didn't approach it in the best way because I approached it emotionally, and I took it personally, which that's what I would say is, like really evaluate the situation and who you're approaching, whether it's the owner or the crew chief or the manager or whoever it is, because you're basically going up against yourself, and there's not really going to be anybody to back you up. Right. And if you go in there emotionally, then they're not going to hear anything you say. All they're going to be is like you're totally overreacting, and you're, like a guy could punch the wall because he's mad about something, and that makes him cool. That makes him cool, and damn, he did that, But if you come in and you're at all hysterical in any way, it's like, yeah, she's totally crazy, she's she's crazy. Out there.
Woo, she's a loon.
So those emotions, I'd be like, keep them in check. If you have to go into your lounge and you close that door and you cry and you scream and you kick and you do whatever you got to do, then you pull yourself together and you walk out there with a level head and you have a conversation, because that's where you just really got to know what. And I know a guy that was training me after I broke my shoulder, Al Shuford, who was at the time a trainer for the Panthers. He helped me get my shoulder back in line and helped me, but he kind of became this motivator for me. And it was when I was starting to run Limited Cup, and he's like, your attitude when you have that helmet on and you're driving through that garage area, you are on a mission. Like, you have an attitude from the time you pull out, and you do not care who's on your right, who's on your left. You don't care about the people. You don't care what anybody's saying or thinking. And it really worked. I mean, it was really somebody that helped me really. That it starts from the moment you pull through the garage, the moment you do anything. You build yourself up plenty of times, but sometimes there's just that. It helps to have that person that's maybe not in your daily life that can see things from a different perspective. And I'd say, keeping your emotions in check and definitely keeping your personal life personal. The way I looked at it is I was an athlete. I wasn't the same as any of my friends that, graduated and were going to parties and then they were getting married, or going to college and then getting married. I was different. I looked at it like, you have to take it seriously, and you're training like an athlete would train. You're not going to be normal, which fit me well because I don't think I was ever normal to begin with. Right. So it was different to where I really felt like, if you're on the path to be a driver, then you have to absolutely do it the same way that a swimmer is going to compete to win a medal. You have to go at it 100%, and you have to be passionate about it.
So outside of Danica Patrick, who had success in a series and, she had a foundation behind her when she came into NASCAR, there's still females are having a hard time at it in our sport. Joanna Long showed a lot of promise in situations now this year without a ride. Have you, do you have thoughts on the differences between when you were trying to make it as a racer to now, and are they different? Are they the same?
I think there's a little bit of both. I think they're the same, where you see like people that you see have potential, but then they don't have the backing of the right car owner or the car owner or the sponsor to bring to the table. So it's still the struggle, whether male or female. I think there's still the struggle of the corporate.
That totally exists. Yes.
The corporate world of getting somebody to put, the backing into you. And I always felt like they always took so much media attention towards the the road or the path that I would take. And it would be like, let's put the attention into the car.
Right.
And then when I perform, that's all going to come.
Right.
But there was a lot of that pressure. But I do think, like with Joanna, it is amazing to me that she doesn't have the ride or have the deal, but it's just as hard as it always was.
Yeah.
And there was always those deals, and that's where you kind of like, you don't want to take a limited deal, or does she step back and go into the series where she was winning, and just so you don't lose any seat time.
Right.
And that's hard to do when you start to make that climb up. But if you don't have the right deal to bring to the table or to bring to the right car owner, it's hard to do. And sitting out is the worst thing you can do.
Yeah,
you got to
racers
keep
hate
going.
to sit out.
Yeah.
But like you said earlier, you have to sit there and I've had this conversation with my nephew Jeffrey. You have to evaluate, being in a ride and what is the capability of that ride. Like you said, is it a back marker? Is it a start and park? What kind of seat time are you getting in? And what are the perceptions of people watching you do that? Is their perception that you're working hard and you're doing everything it takes and you're doing all you can, or is their perception that you always ride around in the back of the pack?
Yeah. Well, I think automatically that's their perception. If you are riding around in the back, then they think that's what.
Because if you have talent, you should be able to take this POS car and put it to the front, right?
The front.
No, it doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you do have to. You don't want to take a deal that's going to put you in that situation, but you kind of got to find the opportunity to get. I mean, one of mine was James Finch. I always wanted to drive for James Finch because there was never a track that he didn't bring a winning car, that he didn't have the right equipment. And funny story there is I constantly knocked on that door in the it was ARCA up into Bush, but Purvis was driving the ARCA car and he was moving into Cup. And so I was like, give me a chance. Just give me a chance to drive that ARCA car. Give me a chance. So they called me in, I think it was the off season in 95. Yeah, 95. And Mark Reno called me and he's like, hey, we're getting ready to go test at Daytona. You want to come test the ARCA car? And I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Well, 5 pregnancy tests later, I called him back and I'm like, okay, you know how bad I want this. It's like, I've been looking for a ride for like a year, knocking on doors. And, it was kind of like, if we're going to have kids, this is probably the right time to do it. So I'm pregnant. He's like, dead silence. Well, damn. It's the first time I've ever heard that excuse from a driver. So to make the silver lining of that story is in 99 was when I came back after having Tanner and Samantha, was in James Finch's car, Bob Evans, and finished second under caution. And let me tell you, I would have won that race or crashed if it would have finished under green. So, and that was one race deal. Ran up front all day. I opened eyes of a lot of people. I felt stronger mentally, physically. I just was a different person. And that was after kids, and then after I knew I was going to go back to driving. I knew there was no way I wasn't. A lot of people had their judgments about that, but I mean, I always felt like if a woman, if you're going to climb a mountain and then you have a baby, are you not going to climb mountains anymore? You're still going to do. And I wanted to set goals for my kids, and so that was a pretty cool situation. And then that led to Michael Cranafis, which led to other deals. So you never know what opportunities you might have.
Yeah, I have a similar situation to that when I was when I found out I was pregnant with Carson. I was sitting in John Force's funny car, and I always said when I race late models, everybody always said, "Man, you drive too far down into the corner. You got to back off the corner to make your corner better, and get off the corner better." And it just never worked out for me. And they said, "You should go drag race." And so I'm sitting in John Force's funny car, and he's like, "Man, wouldn't you like to do this?" And he's like, "Man, I put you in one of these. I'll put you in one of these. I promise I'll put you in one of these." And I said, "Well, we got one small problem. I'm expecting a baby, and this isn't going to work out." So,
and he's had experience with that. I just, how cool is it that he's got
now with his daughters?
Girls,
and, it's just totally awesome. Well, let's shift gears, because not only were you a fabulous racer, but my gosh, do you have some creativity, girl, or what? You are just fabulous in this world of interior design, and I've been able to see that for years through projects that you've worked on. You did our building here at Junior Motorsports in 2008. You helped me with my house in 2006. You did projects before that for lots of different people, painting murals and this, that, and the other. And you're still doing it today.
Still doing it now.
Yeah, and have a great business in that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But has that always been within you, the creativity?
I think so, yeah. My mom was very, very creative, and she was always changing stuff around in furniture, and her sisters, too. They always were going to antique shows. And so I always had it, and I've always loved design and like chairs and just furniture and stuff. But I don't know. I think it's just something that kind of like the driving thing. It's just part of me. And I think when you know you have an ability to drive or to adapt, you feel it in the seat of your pants. And then with the decorating, I haven't really had any formal education with it. It's more just overviewing the whole look and being like, well, this is what I think, and then not being afraid to speak that out and to learn the person that you're working with. And I've just been very lucky. It's kind of was when I was pregnant. I started doing painting and design, and then just word of mouth.
So how does the process work for, I know how the process worked for me, but how does the process work in general when you're talking to a client? Because you have your own style, and if people know Happy Chair and people look at the things that you create, that's Shauna Robinson to a T. But, you know, when you're going
not everybody likes that.
Right.
So,
when you're going into
there's
someone
no
else's
question.
house, how do you make that work, you know, for both
it's
sides?
just going into their environment, like what their look is, and it could be totally modern, but it's more just it's kind of the objects and the space itself, and then adding in the lighting and the color. And so it doesn't matter if it's a look that I necessarily like. It's something that I feel like the weight is placed equally in the room, and the color balance, and there's the fillers. The lighting is huge in any project. I don't care if it's commercial, what it is. You've got to have the lighting and the big pops of color or none at all, and making that real surreal. But I don't know. It's just really, when I meet with the person, it's about them. It's about what they're looking for. I
remember going through that process with you on my house, and you picked out everything from, you know, the tile in my kitchen to, you know, the shape of my toilet. It didn't matter. You would, like I said, you're going to do this, and you picked this all out. And I remember that statement from you about the lighting, and I think I pushed back, you know, and sometimes, and I would say, man, Shauna, that's just a lot of money for that piece of that lighting. And you're like, I know, Kelley, but just wait till it's there. And I'll tell you what, I've got the same thing in my house,
which is great.
I love it 8 years later.
See, and that to me is success. And like when I even walk in here at Junior Motorsports and I see the wall or I see the lights, it still is a current. It feels like still like a good environment. And this shop was one that was different than any.
So many people comment on our shop; they love it.
Well, because it was coming in here and it was about earth tones and about, it wasn't what you heard, like
because
the chrome
we had that
and
orange in our logo. You were like, we're going this direction with the browns and, you know, your typical race shop's red, white, and black, and the checkered flags, and our wall with our sponsors on it. People absolutely love. And Sherry, when I had her on the show, she's looking over there at the lighting in the retail store, and she's like, "Did Shauna even put those lights in here?" And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, cool.
And that makes me so happy to know that, and to know, like, with your house and then with the girls' room, and then as they grew, and then with Wyatt, and just being able to be a part of that. And it's a little mix too, because Wyatt's room was more, you know, a little bit weathered and lodgy looking. So it's a good mix, because you got a little modern.
We have it all. We've got the diva upstairs in Carson, and we've got the black and white zebra and teal and hot pink and all that going on. And then Carson Kennedy's room is real calm and soft. You know, we've got soft pink and purples and cream, and you know, it's like the princess room. And then Wyatt's got, you know, weathered furniture and wood and the tree wallpaper and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's a good look.
Different. My common space is kind of all goes together, but everybody's rooms are different.
I feel like I've been blessed to have a second passion. You know, and a lot of people can say that.
No.
To be able to say that I did totally different worlds and did the whole racing thing, even from the trucks, and raced in France and in Mexico and different world, and then doing the NASCAR thing, and then actually running the Daytona 500 and running Michigan in my first cup race, and just to do that, and then to be like, you know, Miranda Lambert bought 8 pieces from me, and Whoopi Goldberg bought a piece from me.
I
know, that's so cool. And so, I mean, I'm very, very, very lucky to have that, something that I'm passionate about, and be able to go to work like that every day.
So you have the interior design side where you help people with, you know, their whole house, parts of their house, or whatever that is. And talk about Happy Chair and how that started, and specifically kind of what that is. Yeah,
Happy Chair is kind of really a piece of my heart, because it kind of came with, I was doing the design, and the chairs were something I always had. It just, I don't know why, but I always had when I look at them, they have a personality to me. They're little frames, and they're like, I give them names, and it's kind of weird. But I started, started in my garage, and I just had, like, I was doing some decorating work, but I had a chair, and there was a chair I wanted from Anthropologie that had this, like, bold floral, and I've shown it to my friend, and she's like, you could so make that chair. Why don't you just make it? She's like, she's all neutral. Like all her pillows are all creams and browns. And she's like,
That's
you
me.
can take, she's like, you can take like flower and stripe and then geometric. And I would think in a million years, I'm going to throw up if you were going to put that together. And then you put it together and it looks great. Like make your own. So I did. I just kind of made my own. And then I started playing with it a little more just part-time did a little show at Metrolina, and people were like, loved it, and really have a thing about mixing fabrics up and giving it a different look. And so now it's grown to be where now I am more, it's making chairs and sofas for the home that are really a piece that kind of becomes your room. Like you get a piece and you're going to change the room to go with the piece.
Right, exactly.
And that's kind of where I started making it. But Happy Chair is still, it's not grown to be like holding its own as just the business. I still am doing the decorating and keeping that to keep things going. But Happy Chair is definitely growing, and I'm doing online sales now with companies like One Kings Lane, and used to do fab.com, but now they've changed. But there'll be some other online, and then the big shows I do in Texas, which is where Miranda came in and bought a bunch of pieces. And so that's just been really cool to know that. And of course, I didn't say anything like, Happy Chairs.
Yeah. Well, there's more to it than Happy Chairs now. I was caught my eye, I think, on Facebook or Twitter or something about the framed pieces you're doing.
I just started doing the large
curtains,
art.
And I mean, you really can do anything. I mean, at my house, you went to Target, you bought a shower curtain. The next thing I know, it's got this awesome design of, like you said,
the big flowers,
geometric, solids, whatever it is. And you can take this $20 shower curtain and make it look like $300.
Yep.
You know.
Yep, it's fun, and
ruffles.
It's more. Yeah, it's just adding. Like, God, my studio is like full of bins of just scraps and fabrics, and I love to be able to. Vintage is very big with me too. I love to take vintage and mix that all up. But it's so cool to see the personalities of people that I might make a piece for, or knowing like, you know, what would, like if I did a piece for Kid Rock, what do you think it would look like? So I'd love to do something like that.
American Badass.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you think. But what if it ended up being like this tropical, you know, breeze, Tommy Bahama looking tropical chair? You would never think, but you never know, like what you think their personality is, but what does their home really look like, or what does that say about them?
Yeah, true.
That'd be a cool thing to open some doors on.
Yep. So you have online at
ShaunaRobinson.com.
Right.
Is if you Google Happy Chair, it'll come up, but it's ShaunaRobinson.com. Right. And then it'll show, we're going to start putting the artwork on the online store. Right now I just have chairs, but I'm going to start adding that to it. And the artwork's really cool because it can be dogs, huge trees.
Yeah, I've seen a mermaid.
Mermaids. I've made people's dogs on their chair. You'll send me a picture of a dog, and I'll create it on the piece of furniture or on art. Yeah. So it's pretty cool. I was looking for something to do a different price point at shows, and that people could buy art that looks a lot like my furniture. So it's gone over really well. Yep. I want to do clothes too, but I haven't gotten that far yet.
Well, I remember T-shirts.
Yeah, I was doing little T-shirts. The little T-shirts went really well. We just kind of stopped. We got busy with other stuff, but I wanted to do like bohemian kind of clothes and some head scarves maybe, which things I'll start creating very soon.
So I have 2 Happy Chairs and 2 Happy Couches, and we love them. And you're right, they're timeless. They stay. You create around them, you know, and they're just pieces that you look at and they're just incredible. And so I buy everything around that. You know, I'm like, I want to change our bedspread, but we've got to match this Happy chair.
Got to match the Happy chair.
Got to work with this Happy chair. So you brought up scarves and the need to maybe create some scarves soon. You were recently diagnosed with breast cancer.
Yes.
We were talking outside the studio with my cousin Stacy, who went through leukemia. So I had that experience with her from a family standpoint. And you're new into your journey with this. Yes. And lots of crazy feelings, I'm sure. But I was thinking about, just in talking about this, because it's hard to talk about, And I'm thinking to myself, but in every experience, even if it's bad, there's always something good out of it. And I don't know if you're far enough in your journey that you've picked something out or picked something positive out of it. I know at the end of your journey you will. Yeah. There'll be something that you learn from it. But have you kind of felt that yet, or?
Well, I first when I found out, it's the last thing you think. You never think it's going to be said to you.
Yeah.
So the first week was really just a fog. And now I really wanted a path kind of to know. You get so much information so quickly, and it is amazing all the support that breast cancer has and all the research. And they're almost ahead of themselves, which is how they explained it to me, is there's so many new things and new treatments. And so I definitely am taking a positive look at it, but it still is just like you still have to go through the process of the treatments. And so I've been through my first chemo, which was very like, I'm ready to take this on. And then a few days later, I wasn't so ready. But it's definitely something that I do. I'm reading the book right now, The Silver Linings, and it's by a nurse that actually went through breast cancer. And it's funny. It's actually a lot of the same exact stages and same processes that she's. So I'm learning a lot there. But I think that it's gonna make me stronger. I think I'm going to go through a lot of good days and bad. But I think overall, it's almost just like the cleansing process that I'm starting to feel like I'm going through. There's kind of like you want to fight it a little bit with. You hear so many things, like some people don't react to chemo or some don't have side effects and my body's going to be different. And I'm now starting to learn what my side effects are. And so now next time when I go in the first week, how am I going to be a little bit more ready for that? So it's almost like for me to research, which is very not me.
No, I know. Hello, I'm going to give you a kudos. You showed up 15 minutes early.
I know. So see, there's already good coming out of this.
There is.
I mean, it's going to be, I don't. And, it's not like I don't think that God puts us in a situation we can't handle, though there's so many situations that people go through in life and you wonder why. It just doesn't make any sense with the loss of a child or things I could never even compare or even know how you would feel. But there's a reason that I'm going through this, and it's to cleanse my body and to get it healthy. And I think that that's going to make me stronger, and it's going to... I hope that I learn things that I can pass on to other people. And just seeing Stacy and seeing her glowing face there and her beautiful head of hair. And, it's just like, it's all going to be okay. Yeah. It's just the process of. And right now I'm in that early.
The other side. That you're going to cross the bridge and you're going to get the hair back and life can become somewhat normal, because even as Stacy says, often it never truly becomes normal because it's always in the back of your mind,
and it's when you first, it's almost like in the book she describes it as Cancerville. It's like everybody that you're around, it's like you're in Cancerville, and sometimes you just want to get out of Cancerville and not be there, but it really is what your life becomes. So you just have to go through the process. And so early onto it, I'm still scared. I know, my hair's getting ready to go any day, and I know that's so not important. It comes back, and it's so funny because I'm the girl that if you look back at racing pictures, it's blonde or it's red or it's short or it's long or who. So I've never really cared anyway.
Right.
I've always been up for new things, so I'm sure it'll be an experience.
Perfect introduction for this happy clothing.
Yes, it is actually, and I have some of the coolest vintage fabric that's real floral and silky, and so I'm going to definitely play around with that and make my own pieces, and we'll just go from there.
Well, I appreciate you joining me today and wish you all the best and everything.
Thank you.
You know my phone number and how it works.
I know.
If you need anything, you give me a call.
Absolutely.
I'll rally the troops around us.
And there's been a lot of that. It's been amazing with the support I've had with people in the community and then in Facebook, and just it's amazing. And I just want people to know that I hear your words, and they do, and they touch me, and they're helping me down this path, and I truly appreciate it.
All right, it's time for Ask Kelley, and remember that you can submit questions on Twitter using the hashtag AskKelley to my Twitter handle, Earnhardt Kelley.
Our first question is from @SpearsJacob. He says that as an older brother, he loved intimidating his sister's dates. What was it like for you to bring home a date to meet your dad?
Great question. Yeah, chime in.
That's a great question.
In all seriousness, I can't even think of a time when I really brought home a guy to meet my father. One, I wasn't allowed to date till I think I was 16 or 17, 18, maybe 18. I was a senior in high school. But I did have this guy I liked in high school, and my dad met him and liked him okay, and I was able to go out with him. But there was really, my dad told me, I'll never forget this, he said, when I'm home, you can bring them over and I can meet them. Okay, when do you go out on dates? Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, weekends.
Okay. When are there races?
Yeah,
weekends. Okay, so was Dad ever home? No. So, it was pretty intimidating. And even as I got older, just, guys in general, my dad was a very intimidating factor in that.
All right, next question is from @OneNewBigFan. Are there tours that people can take of Junior Motorsports, and are there items in our retail store that you can't find anywhere else?
You most definitely can take tours at Junior Motorsports. We do them mostly on Thursdays and Fridays. You can go to jrmracing.com and find out more information there. We do some specific times, and then, of course, around race weeks, we probably do them all week, race week. And we'll do group tours. You can call in, and, we can do large or small groups. Specific times, and do those on Saturdays as well. As far as items in the retail store that you can't find anywhere else, yes, I definitely know that there are items in our store that you can't find anywhere else. We do carry a lot of Whiskey River branded merchandise. We carry Junior Nation branded merchandise. We also carry 88, Dale Jr. merchandise. But we kind of have a small area, but we have a lot of things to choose from. So I'm sure you can find something that you can't find anywhere else.
I think this is one of the coolest retail stores. I've done a couple, so this is one of the coolest as far as product. You guys have a lot of cool merchandise.
@Leanne23 wants to know what your favorite Easter candy is.
Definitely malted robin eggs. What's your favorite candy?
Peeps. Oh my God,
I
love
Peeps too. It's a toss-up. I love Peeps
Peeps
too.
are like spring. Yeah. Spring is here.
And I like to open the Peeps and kind of let them get a little
harder.
Hardened, good. My kids don't like Peeps that well. I don't understand it.
Oh, love Peeps.
@PSFrog9, a few weeks ago you talked about camping. Define the Earnhardt style of camping.
Okay, well, most people are probably going to call this glam camping because we take a camper. We actually, have a bathroom and a bed and all that. I don't really tent camp, and not to say that I wouldn't, but I wasn't really brought up to camp, so I don't know a lot about tent camping. But my husband and I, when I met my husband, he had a small tag-along travel trailer, and the kids and I, he and the kids and I would go have a lot of fun with it. We've upgraded to a fifth wheel with bunk beds in the back. We like to I have a list of places that I like to camp. And usually it's because there's things in the area like Natural Bridge, Virginia. We wanted to go to the Natural Bridge, and there was a zoo up there, and, different things that you could go to. And we want to go to Helen, Georgia because the Cabbage Patch Hospital's there and Kennedy wants to go there. But there's also tubing and fun stuff to do like that. So we kind of make a list and look for other things in the area. But camping, definitely includes s'mores and includes cooking out on the grill and corn on the cob on the grill and hamburgers and hot dogs and fun foods like that. All right, so it's time for final thoughts. So, Shauna, these are for you. You can just, whatever, the first thing that comes to your mind. Maybe the first thing that comes to your mind. I'm teasing. They're very easy. Sweet or salty?
Salty.
Beach or mountain?
Beach.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Do you have a dog?
Yes.
Yes.
Ellie.
Well,
I have actually a few dogs, but Ellie is my main dog that I got my boyfriend for his birthday it was last fall in October in Texas. I brought her home. She was a little stray.
Aww.
She's so cute. So she's she's half lab, half Dachshund.
Oh, gosh.
So she looks like a
cute.
Rottweiler. She looks like a mini Rottweiler.
Yeah.
But, and then at home I have another rescue. God, I just forgot my dog's name. I know. Rue, who jumps like a kangaroo. And then I got my mom a dog when she first moved in with me. From Iowa, I got her little Dachshund long hair, Izzy. So I love dogs.
I think dogs are like kids. Once you have one, it doesn't matter if you have 2, 3, or 4.
Nope.
And we talked a lot about last week with Megan Smith, Regan's wife, about rescues. And so awesome that you have rescue dogs.
Yes.
Hills or flats?
Hills.
I'm surprised.
Oh, no. Wait. I'm thinking mountains, hilly roads, or no.
Okay.
Oh, no, flats. Boots, flats.
I'm thinking, no, she's going to say flats.
No, flats.
You're always in the cutest boots.
Yeah, but I'm definitely
cute.
I'll wear heels if it's like I have to. But
you're tall, so you probably...
Yeah, I'm just comfortable. I'm like a boots girl all the time. Yeah.
Cook or eat out?
Cook. Yeah, I love to cook.
Yep, I thought so. Dress or jeans and a tee?
Jeans and a tee. You know that.
I got to ask the question. Yeah. City girl or country girl?
Country girl.
Definitely.
I grew up in Iowa, so yeah, I would take the farmland anytime.
Yep. Well, thanks again. This has been really fun. Hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to Dirty Mo Radio.